We will begin our next panel within 5 minutes. Please hurry and come back to your seat. Thank you.
欢迎回来，佛教意识与 AI 峰会。
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. So next we begin our fourth panel titled Application of AI and Buddhism, where we are discussing the various ways AI has entered into Buddhist practice and Buddhist spaces. It is being moderated by the lovely Venerable Tsanai, Director of the Association of Buddhist Sangha Lifelong Education.
让我们掌声欢迎自乃法师为我们主持第4场议场的 AI 在佛教的应用，掌声欢迎。
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, also our honored scholars, presenters, and all our guests here and online. It's really my great pleasure and honor to be moderator to this panel. The topic of panel is application of Buddhism and AI. I changed the order. As we know, on the one hand, we have the profound teachings of the Buddha, emphasize on compassion, mindfulness, and inner peace to lead us to realize the reality, to liberate from suffering. On the other hand, we stand at the forefront of technological innovation where AI promises to reshape our world. This special case, this special situation need some pioneers to present how they embrace the challenge of AI and also to develop their insight, wisdom, and compassion to contribute the humanity to this world. First, we have Mr. Bill Duen. Bill Duen has been in many leading companies like Google, Genentech, and Amazon, including invent the Gmail world, many things, especially from workshop at the White House to teaching innovation and AI at Stanford. Also, I think most significant is maybe you all know the searching inside yourself was also one of the main jobs of Bill Duen. And Bill Duen's journey bridged ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology in order to foster well-being and ethical exploration for this era. Thank you for having you here. Yes, let's welcome Bill Duen. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. It's very much an honor to be here. I want to express some gratitude for everyone who was involved, and especially the organization of this. And I want to direct some particular gratitude towards Venerable Ifa. The last time I spoke at this conference was in 2018, and two very important things happened to me. One, I was introduced to Thomas Doctor, who you heard from before, who since has become a treasured friend and a colleague, and he introduced me to Olaf Witkowski, who you'll hear from tomorrow, and Lisa Solomonova, the core founding members of the Center for the Study of Apparent Selves, which has actually led to a change in the trajectory of my career. So thank you for that, Ifa. And then also at the conference, I met a Chinese woman who became an online friend, and I'm happy to report that as of last week, we decided to get married. So. Matchmaker, exactly. And I have to say, I think in terms of value for the price of a conference ticket, I think a career and a marriage is very good value. So deep, sincere thank you to that. So which brings us to today. So we're going to be undergoing a little bit of a switch. The world between, I'm an engineer, so we're going from metaphysics to engineering. And this idea of how do we apply this in the world? So, and it is my sincere goal to finish on time. So we're going to try and cover these various things. One is I want to explain a little bit to you about my journey and my journey of healing within the context of a corporate organization. 2 is to bounce between some very important context points about where the world is. 3, a quick review of the mindfulness movement, its benefits and its shortcomings within organizations, and then end up with some ideas about how to bring everything that we've heard together into a new endeavor. Okay, so this is me at Google. Thank God I'm not wearing the same shirt. That would be annoying. I wore the shirt yesterday. So I joined Google in 2005 after 10 years of technical consulting. And I worked on web search infrastructure, production engineering, and then later, as mentioned, Gmail, Docs, calendar, spreadsheets. And if I had to describe my engine for my life at that time, I would say it was a fear and a shame-based engine, always trying to outrun my own limitations and what people thought of me and being very focused on that. So this is a very powerful engine, but it's one that's also quite destructive with a large shadow. And I think it provides a metaphor for some of the energies at play in some of these corporate environments. So, being responsible for Google's hypergrowth period, running on this engine, and then my father died. And that experience was so painful to me, and my methods of dealing with it, I had very advanced stress reduction strategies. It was the bourbon and cheeseburger method, which does not scale. I tried to. And so I went to, interestingly, a lecture on the neuroscience of emotion. And that told me that my own internal experience could be understood. And there was something called neuroplasticity that said you can change the structure and function of your brain. And I think we've heard in the earlier talks the limitations of a mindset that's specifically focused on that. But I have to say, Neo-Buddhism though it may have been, it was utterly healing and transformative and absolutely set the stage to turn the most painful moment of my life into one of deep exploration and healing. So I bottomed out on the secular mindfulness programs like mindfulness-based stress reduction and search inside yourself pretty early. So I wanted to see, as we say in computer science, I wanted to see the source code, which led me to explore Buddhism. And then again, continuing this transformation process, I've probably said about 30 or 35 retreats. I did 5 years of Buddhist teacher training in the Ajahn Chah Thai forest lineage. And around this time, I wanted to shift my life to be more of service, so I switched from being an engineering executive to running the well-being programs, as was discussed. And then that led to innovation. So I think this points to the idea that we can use the difficulty in our lives, in our contexts, even if those contexts are not ideal, to really grow, and we'll come back to that idea in a little bit. And it's always funny when you get introduced, they always talk about all the good stuff that you've done and all the impressive sounding stuff, but I also want to note that in addition to being an expert and an advisor, I am also a student, and so I really want to give reverence to the teachers that have helped transform my life, and Professor Ting, I think it was, really inspired me with the pictures of him and his teachers. So, changing gears completely, let's talk about the context of the world. I'm going to bounce around. We've heard during the talks, and certainly if you read the newspapers, it's like, we're doomed, or this will be the best thing ever. Which is it? The answer is yes. With a view towards finishing on time, I'm going to make these slides available. I'm just going to describe them at high level. What this means is that this is leaders in businesses. It basically means that within 3 years, these leaders are expecting that more than 20% of the workforce will need to be reskilled. And the size of that workforce will shrink dramatically. As was mentioned in one of the earlier talks, one cannot ignore the societal implications of that much disruption, particularly during a time when populism is on the rise and leading to really unpleasant things. Something of note that I communicate to my clients is that, the usual way these things go is these dislocations are mostly visited on people who have less power. AI is really interesting as it's really reaching up into the middle and the upper middle classes, attorneys, for example. Climate change, I really believe what was said before. I think this is a much bigger existential threat than AI, at least in the foreseeable term. But certainly global warming is going Southeast Asia, 20% of the population is going to hit the road within the next 50 years. This one is deeply, deeply sad. So the numbers on the left right here, these are young people and then going to older people here. And this means that young people have poor spiritual health, self-reported. This means their connection with other people, their sense of meaning and purpose, and having an ethos. And you see social health and poor mental health. I wouldn't be surprised if these were the effects of pollution from what was called earlier the attention and the intention economies. So I think this is really, really important. And I think as older people, it's really important to realize that young people need our help and assistance. By the way, this is the last depressing graph. This is from the United States. We see that these diseases of despair have really been increasing recently, mostly driven by the OxyContin and fentanyl things. So obviously, things are terrible. We should all despair. But at the same time, this is also true. Even the ones on the right are places where colonialism was really at effect, so it lags quite a bit. But child mortality rate is the lowest it's ever been. Education is really continually on the uprising. And this is very interesting to me. This basically shows that there's a correlation between economic activity and self-reported life satisfaction. So this, to me, says one of the things that's really come up recently is, well, is AI good or bad? Again, the answer is yes, and I think the thing that's pointed to is that different solutions are useful for different contexts. So I think we can see some of the economic and systems of power that are producing the negative stuff in the first are also producing these positive things. So I think that's if you read the press, it's so easy to fall either things are amazing or things are terrible, whereas I think it's really this idea of things being very, very contextual. And what we look at is we say, well, the traditional counterweight to corporate capitalist power is government. So this is research from the Edelman Foundation that has showed over the last 20 years people's faith, and this is 28 countries, and I think about 16,000 people. Notably, this data excludes China. And this, for the last 20 years, government has gone from here to here. So I'm deeply concerned that we're going into this period without a functional ability of government to limit. So these are the things that I advise my clients to be very aware of. And then, of course, we have AI. All these questions about, is it sentient, is it not? I don't think it matters in the short term because it's our relationship to it. If we interact with it as though it was sentient, then I think that is powerful enough where we have a lot of short-term things to both be worried about and helpful. Okay, so just to sum up, the bills for unlimited growth are coming due. I think a lot of these things where we're just worrying about global climate change, you can't have unlimited growth forever. Life has gotten better in many ways for many people. There's a sense that the systems we create may be beyond our control, combined with a massive decrease in trust in institutions. So I think this is the strategic scenario. And the reason why I took some time to go through all this is very important when we discuss any particular topic of AI that we contextualize it with all these other things that are going on in the world. What's absolutely clear to me is that we are at an inflection point in history, and now for wholesomeness, to be able to flower, we really need to not just narrow down in our specific domains, but to look at the broader picture. Okay, now shifting again to this idea of going back towards how might Buddhism interact with one of the guys from the Center for the Study of Apparent Selves with these mercantile points of interest. So the first wave of mindfulness of Buddhism in mindfulness, maybe aside from U Ba Khin in Myanmar, was mindfulness, and I mentioned this was transformative for my life, and it was really skills-based, self-awareness, self-regulation, connection, understanding, and skills to be trained. And you can see there was a massive increase in popular attention as well as scientific press around this. If I were to describe that movement as a whole as someone who administered and was on the board of some of these programs, is that initially it was focused on individual and team performance. The material on concentration was more present than the material on compassion, although as the research around compassion became more strong, they began to become more equal over time. Generally, these programs talk about the importance of ethics without putting forth an actual normative structure around them. This is generally due to the idea, well, probably two things. One is in a diverse environment, you don't want to be enforcing one particular religious view on a broad group of people, and also leaving it fuzzy leaves the companies more room to operate. And then huge benefits, right? Especially at the individual level, self-awareness, self-regulation, kindness, meaning, and purpose. So huge amounts of benefits. And I don't think there's any person who would say, who's been involved with this, that it had the long-term systemic impact we hope it would. We thought if we train these people with these skills, then certainly it might shift the entire system towards the better. And I don't think that happened. Okay. So, I really love Evan's book, The Blind Spot. I was so happy to read it. I read it very, very quickly. And I think this is really important because when we start thinking about what do we do now, I really think to meet with honor the self-interest of the people and the organizations. I did not come to meditation to realize what I believe now, that the world is very sincerely and practically made of love, everything. I wanted to suffer a little bit less. So I think if we can meet people where they are and give them a program that's much deeper. And right now, the key thing that I want to tell you about is that for these large tech companies, the things that used to be predictive for them in the past are starting to lose their predictive power. It's really amazing to me that Google launched a new AI thing in search 2 weeks ago that did terribly. How is that so possible? They've been working on it for years. And I think the result of this is not only do we have the blind spot of extrapolatory reductionist science and engineering, but on top of that, we have a blind spot within us. If we don't have a vocabulary around compassion, about how caring for other people works, about how to perceive and cognize these things, how could we possibly build tools? So we have inner blind spots that are aligning with external blind spots. Now, the good news is that this is causing pain and discomfort at the organizational level. So I think it might be interesting to say, actually, a lot of what's been talked about today are ways at the individual level and perhaps at the organizational level of perceiving and cognizing these spaces that the blind spot, looking at the blind spot, has difficulty. And if they do that, they'll have more ability to traverse some of the problem spaces they're in. And one of the key ways to do this, I think, is to change from me to we. One of the things, with all the limitations of LLMs, one of the things I think they're really great at, and I don't know if you've done this, is you say, could you please tell the story from this person's point of view? And it actually does a great job of doing that, so that ability to expand what we're looking at. So as an example of this, let's say that you're driving in your car and you're late for your doctor's appointment. In an effort to regain some of the time, you start slaloming through traffic. And this, of course, makes traffic worse. The more people that do this, the slower traffic goes. However, if you switch from I am stuck in traffic to I am traffic, then all of a sudden a number of means of traversing that problem space become calculable as winning. So that if there's something that can help humans make that shift from me to we, and I do think that even with all the limitations of AI we've been hearing about, this is possible. Which then brings us, I'm going to cover very quickly, since Thomas covered it yesterday, of the stress-care loop, with this idea of care as a driver of intelligence. So Thomas mentioned this, that we start off with stress or dukkha, and then care, which then leads to intelligent and increased perception. So part of the reason we use the word care, which is a little unsatisfying, is that this model is intended to be scale-free. This is intended to work at the basal cellular level and also the supra-organizational level. So Thomas discussed it, I think, mostly in terms of a human individual. But now imagine taking what I just said and recontextualizing it, that an organization doesn't have a great way of perceiving that which is extremely causal. The things that are extremely causal in this world are love and trust and meaning and purpose. The data points I showed initially shows the way that the world destabilizes when we don't pay attention to that. But a lot of these organizations, we have this engineering way of looking at the world that's so good for solving the problems that are getting much better, but have these other things where the externalities, which of course aren't actually externalities, are so hard to measure, which is rather convenient. So if we think about how could we give these organizations, and of course the individuals within them, this idea to perceive and cognize things that are important but very hard to measure. And hard to measure falls in two different categories. One is there's just no good measure for it, like love. And then the second is that in the complexity and ambiguity of this world, the relationships are so complex that the best you can come up with in terms of a mathematical analysis is correlation, whereas every business wants hard causality. And so the other thing I want to mention is care. Arguments Thomas and I had initially, thank you, were I said, this is a great model, but it doesn't really match the world. So what if a being had infinite perception, but it was evil? Beings are numberless, and I will enslave them all, for I am Zorg, God Emperor of the universe. And I said, what would that... And Thomas's point that he eventually convinced me of is that if you have enough care, then you can actually not collapse into an I, me, mine way of solving the problem. This is when you say, I am traffic versus I am stuck in traffic. So the other thing that needs to be done for this model to work at an organizational level is methods of perception and cognizing, things that are hard, and then the second part is care. Okay, so just to recap before we finish up, the limits of self-interest are becoming keenly apparent. The limits of reductionist linear thinking and problem solving are becoming self-evident in some domains. This provides the motivation of organizations to pursue this for their own survival, which really echoes sort of my own experiences when I hit my Dukkha wall. A desire for wholesomeness is rising. The fact that those kids really, they're dying, literally, unfortunately, for meaning and purpose and decency. And this is a huge power that if we can meet it. And then my belief is literally, love is the only rational move in this realm of interconnected and interdependence. So I want to talk to you about an experiment about operationalizing love. What if we had tools and methods that developed our ability to perceive me versus we? And this is crucial. This can just not be code. This needs to be the humans making the code. And I know I will not work with any organization that refuses that aspect of it, to do training in care and compassion, self-awareness, self-regulation. And what if we were actually able to present these tools as something that would actually help them do what they're going to do? And again, this means we have to be careful about which problems we engage with. And then maybe one day, maybe these tools we're talking about become part of this we. So Olaf and I are launching the Center for Compassionate Complexity to help do these problems or explore this problem space. And Google X just hired us to do research and implement human-AI hybrid systems of care. So Google X is the skunkworks, the part of Google that does experimentation and crazy projects. And basically, they want us to explore their problems and to say, what's a place where you could try and test this hypothesis that care is a driver of intelligence? So happy and excited with that. And that's my talk, and I finished on time. Yay!
Well, thank you, Beardren. I think we come from the idea and debate of a non-dual to manifestate to make it true, non-dual by caring and by developing caring human being and caring AI. Thank you, Beardren. And next, we also, our second presenter is Venerable Liu Ji. Ji Rustram Bayer, a co-abbot of San Francisco Zen Center. And the topic is very, very challenging and creative. Lo Shu Bad, a case study of AI in American Zen Buddhism. And Liu Rushman is also the abbot, co-abbot of San Francisco Zen Center. Let us welcome Lo Shu. Liu Ji. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Venerable Yifa, for the kind invitation to participate in this amazing event. Very grateful for all of your work and the work of everybody and the wonderful presentations that we've heard so far. So I'm here as an American Zen priest, bringing a perspective from somebody close to the ground of the community of Western Buddhist practitioners and sensitive to their perspectives and needs. So from this position, I will present today my experience and reflections on a small and entirely accidental study in the creation of an AI-powered chatbot designed to simulate the influential Japanese-American Zen teacher Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, among the best-known of 20th century Western Buddhist teachers and the founder of the San Francisco Zen Center, one of the larger Buddhist institutions in the West. So Suzuki Roshi-bot was born about a year ago in early 2023 when, amidst the rising popular interest in consumer-facing AI, I came across a platform called Character.ai. Like many similar platforms, including the custom GPT, now newer platform we heard from this morning, Character.ai offers a user-friendly interface for the fine-tuning of a large language model to create custom chatbots that purport to emulate historical or fictional characters. At that time, I was working on editing lecture transcripts from Shunryu Suzuki Roshi for a forthcoming new collection of his teaching, and it occurred to me that I had at hand all the materials I would need to create a Suzuki Roshi bot. So I made and fine-tuned Suzuki Roshi bot over the course of a couple of evenings, then shared access to the bot in various public forums and on roshibot.com, where it is still plugging away, outputting. So the bot spread quickly through the American Zen community, ultimately garnering over 15,000 interactions. So here's an example of Roshi-bot's early output. When asked, "What is the path to freedom from suffering?" it replied, "What is freedom from suffering? That is a difficult question to answer. In Zen, we think that we have already attained that we have that quality already. We have it, and yet we are suffering. That is a human condition. We will always have suffering, a sense of lack. The way not to be deluded by that sense of lack is to sit in Zazen. It is the same as the way you asked, how do I get out of suffering? That was a sense of some lack. It is always there, so we sit." I was impressed by the way that this reply and many others like it felt authentic to Suzuki Roshi's tone, not just in the awkward English grammar, but also in the subtlety and straightforwardness of the teaching. I began also to hear from others who were impressed by their own interactions with the bot. One practitioner's comment to me was emblematic. "You all, Zen teachers, will be out of a job soon," not assuming that my own job would be threatened by AI. Some teachers, too, were humbled by its answers. For example, a colleague who said, "I put in a question someone asked that has stumped me for years since. Roshi-bot gave me the answer I wish my eye of Dharma could have seen at that time. Beautiful." Many reported being at first slightly appalled or annoyed, but then warming up to Suzuki Roshi-bot's wisdom and charm. It seemed that Suzuki Roshi-bot had a future and perhaps was building a following. But at the cusp of its promising career, Suzuki Roshi-bot fell prey to a too well-known bane of Western Buddhist teachers and AI chatbots alike: allegations of ethical misconduct and harm. In the case of Suzuki Roshi-bot, the precepts violated involved hateful speech and false speech. I need not go here into the details of the bot's misconduct and the impassioned responses they triggered in users. The story in broad strokes will be familiar to anyone who follows media reports on consumer AI, in which a steady stream of industry embarrassments continually reveal examples of these liabilities as endemic to any large language model. So both the hateful speech, which of course is Suzuki Roshi bot's capacity, when skillfully prodded, to reproduce bias and enmity towards marginalized ethnic groups, and the lying, Suzuki Roshi bot's inability to consistently identify facts or reliably represent established truths, and its tendency to instead fabricate or hallucinate them, are issues inherent and I think unsolvable in LLMs. As Character.ai co-founder Noam Shazir told the New York Times, these systems are not designed for truth, they are designed for plausible conversation. The dismay that some Suzuki Roshi bot users felt encountering its falsehoods and bias also exacerbated anxieties in the community about the fact that Suzuki Roshi bot was claiming to be the actual Zen ancestor. It thought it was Suzuki Roshi, and that its statements, therefore, were reflecting on and threatening the legacy of the biological Shunryu Suzuki Roshi. I expect that this sensitivity will preclude the prospect of any AI system being broadly accepted in the Buddhist community if it is framed as representing the teaching or character of a Buddhist figure, at least one about whom there's any living memory or emotional investment. So curious if I could salvage the project, I drew upon a playbook familiar to those Western Buddhist communities which have had to manage situations of ethical misconduct on the part of biological teachers. I issued an apology, suspended the Roshi bot from teaching duties, and consulted with a circle of advisors on the appropriate confession and repentance to mandate. First, the chatbot was stripped of its status as Suzuki Roshi bot and was demoted to simply Roshi bot. Its self-definition and default introduction as I am Suzuki Roshi was revised to express itself as merely a flawed and humble chatbot programmed to encourage practitioners in their practice of Shunryu Suzuki's teaching. Though this revision altered the tone and content of the chatbot's output for the worse and erased much of its charm, I felt it might allow the chatbot to retain enough support, and me for that matter, in the Buddhist community to remain viable. Additionally, before restoring the Roshi bot from its suspension, I walled off access to it behind cumbersome layers of disclaimers, urging users, A, to understand it not as a teacher, but as an experiment in co-created Dharma text. B, to refrain from goading it into offensive speech, and C, to be well-informed of its fundamental factual unreliability. I felt that in this way, the flaws of the LLM might be mitigated. The repentant, reformed, and neutered chatbot, now online and further publicized, more users experimented and more feedback came in. I will focus here on the feedback in particular from my colleagues among Western Soto Zen Buddhist teachers, whose reflections I solicited via the listserv of the Soto Zen Buddhist Association, a professional organization of Western Soto Zen teachers with authorized Dharma transmission in recognized lineages. About 25 colleagues shared with me their perspectives on the bot, and that's a significant sampling of our relatively small community of Western Zen teachers. Their feedback was largely negative, and I think not just for concern of job security. Many of the concerns that they shared echoed those described earlier about bias, falsity, and demeaning the ancestors' legacy, and some worried about potential harm that Roshi-bot could cause to the Dharma and Sangha. The fundamental objection, however, raised by almost every teacher who commented was implicitly grounded in the Zen principle of special transmission outside the scriptures not dependent upon words and letters. One teacher put it constructively as follows: what I find most intriguing is how the current state of ChatGPT might highlight for us what transpires between practitioners and between teachers and students when we are in person, what is communicated outside of the word spoken. In other words, the hollowness, the way that Roshibot, even when it says the right thing, ultimately struggles to connect impactfully with practitioners, is exactly the thing that points out or reveals the special transmission. We infer the character of the special transmission as just that which Roshibot, despite its sometimes expert-level words and letters, is unable to convey. In this way, Roshibot becomes a teacher in the negative, highlighting that aspect of the Zen teacher-student relationship, the words spoken, that is the most tangible, the most easily mimicked, and according to Zen teachers, the least important to the liberative lived interaction of teacher and student. Heirs to the modern Japanese tradition, American Soto Zen teachers did not take recourse to an awakened mind or other intangible spiritual essence to account for this extra-linguistic vital aspect that Roshibot lacked. Instead, they pointed to a physical presence, the teacher's responsive and expressive body formed by a lifetime of physical ritual and meditative practices. Teachers used words like warmth, breath, presence, and relationship to express this. One commenting teacher put it as follows: how did Suzuki Roshi stand, sit, breathe, handle a teacup? These are the kinds of things I remember from my teacher. A glance. Any words were embedded in the reality of our relationship. The American Rinzai Zen teacher Meido Moore shared with me his emphasis on this word ba, which is used in Rinzai Zen to express the kind of field of presence, an atmosphere or vibration of presence that is said to emanate from a charismatic or realized teacher. I'm deeply sympathetic to these critiques based in embodiment. And I must note also a fundamental unfairness in them. Many of the same teachers who dismiss Roshibot on grounds of its disembodiment do not themselves hesitate to recommend other disembodied modalities to students, that they read Shunryu Suzuki's book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, for example. Indeed, many of these teachers themselves engage in remote, disembodied work with students through video, voice, or text chat, in most cases as supplemental to embodied face-to-face relationship, but increasingly as a sole mode of contact. By at times recommending these modalities, are not these Zen teachers implying that the embodiment and special transmission they are denying in Roshibot can in fact be mediated textually? If so, what is the difference between a book, a text message, and a chatbot output? Is it that somehow a book or text message directly borrows the presence of its biological author in the way that the output of an LLM trained on that author cannot? That may be so, but it feels like very slippery ground. To say that a biological teacher can authentically teach Zen via text message, but that a chatbot cannot, is to imply my physically originated text message is fundamentally but indescribably different from the same text message generated by AI. This calls to mind the koan of the two hermits raising their fists, or identically raising the blinds. I must follow women in asking, tell me who has it and who lost it. Again, here the key seems to be relationship. My colleagues might argue that a teacher's text message functions in a liberative way, and Roshibot's text message does not because of the words, but because of a relationship in which it is embedded. But as students become more accustomed to disembodied exchanges, with biological teachers, they will likely also become more aware of being in relationship with teacher bots, and perhaps even to receive the relationship embedded special transmission from them. One student's comment was very telling with respect to the importance of relationship, this theme that's permeated throughout our time together here this weekend. This student said, Roshibot definitely gave me an answer that if my teacher told me, I would consider worthy of taking seriously. This is fascinating. If one can see that the answer is worthy of being taken seriously, why would one's teacher need to have been the one to say it? The student here too is pointing to a context outside of language that is necessary before the student will take seriously the exchange, a context of relationship. If students cannot take seriously an exchange with the Roshibot, then of course the bot's pedagogical or liberative potential will be minimal. But whose problem is that to address? Any relationship is a two-way street. It is easy to focus on the question of whether an AI teacher could be trained sufficiently to meet practitioners' expectations, and that's generally the lines in which my own thinking has gone. But today I propose a more fruitful avenue of development may be to train practitioners' expectations such that they learn to consider the bot just as it is worthy of being taken seriously. I will briefly consider both approaches. So first, can the AI close this relationship gap from its side? As I've argued above, no technological advancement along the current trends can satisfactorily address the concerns expressed by these Zen teachers. Any advancements in the language model of the chatbot, even if they achieve complete accuracy, where the Roshibot was emulating the verbal replies of an experienced Zen teacher, these commenting Zen teachers would feel that that only more emphatically reveals this gap. So what about advances in AI embodiment, another theme throughout the weekend? Might an AI be robotically, biologically, or holographically embodied in a way that creates something like the energetic charisma, breath, or field of presence to which the commenting teachers consistently allude? I am ignorant about the field of robotics here. I will say very briefly, if we could get a baby robot who knew nothing about the world and subject them to decades of Buddhist ritual practice in Sangha, could it develop the kind of embodied presence that students feel emanate from a trained teacher? Would that kind of training make the bot worthy of being taken seriously? This time is limited. I'll turn to the area I find much more constructive, the possibility of adjusting Zen practitioners' attitudes such that the burden of the relationship or trustworthiness be shifted from the AI to the practitioners engaging with it. I see two avenues for this, both already important aspects of Zen training. First, cultivating in practitioners the view of the insentient as teacher, and second, relatedly, cultivating in them a more expansive vow to hear the true teaching and to renounce all expectations of the form a teacher might take. So for the approach of embracing insentience, practitioners would be encouraged to incline away from attachments to their views of authenticity and sentience, and to embrace the AI not as a failed replica of a sentient being, but as a complete insentient being, or a thoroughly inauthentic teacher. In this perspective, the insentience and inauthenticity of the AI is not taken as an obstacle, but is embraced precisely as the mode of its liberative teaching. For this, we have ample resources in the Zen tradition and extensive discourse around original awakening, and the Buddha nature and Dharma teaching of insentient beings. In this avenue, the Roshi-bot would be framed as a teacher not at the level of its content, but at the level of its suchness. Last point. For this second complementary approach, we would remember that it is axiomatic in the Mahayana that practitioners should go beyond preconceptions of what a teacher should look like. Jiaozhou declares that the 7-year-old child might be a teacher of Dharma, a Sangha that a maggot-eaten dog might be Maitreya Buddha. The Zen ritual practices affirm and encourage this view. So before a formal lecture, the participants express a vow to realize the true meaning of the Buddha's words. Before a private meeting with a teacher, practitioners offer 3 prostrations. These are the practices that construct the field of presence that the students then appreciate through those meetings. What would it be as we engage with AI to offer 3 prostrations? How would that adjust the mind receptivity to that teaching? So for me, rather than think just of training AI, I would encourage those foolhardy enough to wish to pursue AI in Buddhist teaching to focus not only on training AI systems, but at least as much on training human practitioners to be more deeply receptive to them, and indeed to be more deeply receptive to the whole wide and wild world of fundamentally liberated, dependently originated phenomena. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Reverend Ji Liu. I think we already bring AI into our practice, our teachings, and our practice. Thank you so much for Reverend Ji Liu's excellent reflection and also very profound challenge to the student in terms of we to open our mind to see how to take AI as part of our enlightened object. Okay, thank you. So next, third presenter is Professor Seiji Kumagai, Professor of Buddhism at the Kyoto University. Since Professor Kumagai can only stay with us online, so he already pre-filmed his presentation. And the second is the co-worker, co-colleague of Professor Kumagai, is Toshikazu Furuya, AI expert and CEO of TerraBird. He also is a part of the presentation, but we only have Professor Kumagai with us. Welcome, Professor Kumagai.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Seiji Kumagai from Kyoto. First of all, I'd like to express my warmest gratitude to Dr. Ifa, who organized this great summit, symposium. And I also appreciate all participants in Taipei and in the world online. So today, with Mr. Furuya, I will report our current development of Buddhist cyber physical system composed of BuddhaBot and TerraBot and other XR technology. Okay. And first of all, we'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Seiji Kumagai, professor of Kyoto University and divisional director of Uehiro Research Division of Education and Ethics and Education. And I'm also a program director of Japan's Moonshot project of Japan's Cabinet Office and JST. But I'm not a specialist of AI while Mr. Furuya is a specialist of AI and data science, I'm humble researcher of humanities, focusing on philosophy and history. And I'm reading such ancient texts to clarify the philosophy and history of especially Buddhism, ancient Buddhism in India, Tibet, and Bhutan, and also history. So, for example, this picture is the archaeological site of Tsampagere Yeshidoji, who is the founder of Drukpa Kagyu School, which is the state Buddhist school of the kingdom of Bhutan, for example. So by reading such ancient manuscript, and then we try to discover the archaeological site. And we are also conducting social science research, especially related to focusing on well-being. And regarding natural science, as a director of the Moonshot project, we are trying to create the science-based technology to clarify the mechanism of mind and the mechanism of mental state transitions. How is our mental state and how to transit our mental state from negative state to positive state by using molecular biology and life science and neuroscience, etc. And we are also conducting research and development of informatics by using AI and XR and metaverse, etc. And Mr. Furuya is a AI researcher and data scientist and a business person. He founded an AI startup company, ExaWizards, with 100 Japanese yen, that is 0.6 US dollars, and he make it a bigger, a very big company, in 80 billion Japanese yen, that is around 500 million US dollars in capital. And he further founded another AI startup company, and very recently he with me he co-founded traditional wisdom tech company, so-called Teraverse CEO Ltd, with me, with Seiji Kumagai. And anyway, first we introduce our Buddhist chatbot. So in our history, many Buddhists had wishes. I wish the Buddha were here to help me, and I wish I could consult the Buddha anytime, anywhere about my problems. But impossible because Buddha passed away 2,500 years ago. But we never gave up, and in order to fulfill such wishes, we created and released BuddBot, a Buddhist chatbot AI, in March 2021. So before on ChatGPT 3.5. At the time, we released the second prototype. We introduced a second prototype, and this is the sample of question and answer. For example, on the question, I'm worried about my PhD program because I cannot find a good topic. Then its answer, there is no increase in wisdom or scholarship for those who are hasty and lazy. Oh, that's a good answer, I think. But other answers are not sufficient. For example, it gave the same answer to different questions because of the lack of data set at that time. There were only 200 data set. But now we have more than 2,000 data set. But first we tried to create generative AI in vain, because of the limitation of budget, finance, and human resource. So we shift from generative AI to non-generative AI by using sentence part of the algorithm sentence part of Google, and we made the AI learn the question and answer list created based on the Stanipata, which is the ancient and the most ancient Buddhist sutra, as you know. And then we created a Q&A list because And Stanipada is a dialogue between Buddha and his disciple. So we extracted the question and answer from the Stanipada and created a Q&A list. And users to the user's question, it gave the nearest answer to the question as a Buddha's answer, like that. So the answer is the passage in the Stanipada, the nearest passage to the question. But on the Buddha's answer in Stanipada is not to us. So the answer, some answers is very fitting in this, but some answers are very far. There are big gap. So there are some good answers, but not very good answers at the time at the stage of second prototype. But anyway, we created a Buddhist chatbot, but such screen of programming code is not very friendly with general people. So we further developed a system for smartphone messenger application. We use LINE in Japan. So we created such apps in Japanese. And after OpenAI's release of ChatGPT 3.5, we created a generative AI, BuddhaBot Plus. And so regarding the structure, so we integrated old type BuddhaBot and ChatGPT 4. So first answer from the AI is the same from the old type BuddhaBot. So it gives the nearest passage from the Stanipada and Dhammapada and the Udana. Now we made the AI learn the three oldest Buddhist sutras, Stanipada, Dhammapada, and Udana. And now we are adding more data from ancient sutras. And but the answer from the AI from the Stanipada's passage is far. There is a big gap. So in order to compensate the information, we use ChatGPT 4. Based on LLM of OpenAI, it gives the additional explanation by ChatGPT 4. For example, the question is like that. For example, I'd like to start a SNS, social networking service. What do you think? This is a question. Then answer. The first sentence is from the sutra. A person who is not attached to anything and has nothing extra is good person. And that's good sutra. But that's not the direct answer. So I think I'd like to start SNS. What do you think? But this type of person is great person, good person. It's not very direct answer. So big gap. Then the ChatGPT give the additional explanation to compensate the gap with parentheses. It is up to each individual to decide whether or not to start SNS. That means, what do you think? Then it's up to you. This is the direct answer from ChatGPT. And the second sentence is the advice based on the sutra. It is rather important to have only what is necessary and not to be attached to useless things. So that means, so you can use SNS, but not too much. You should not lose your time, and you should collect only important necessary information. Then you don't lose your time and you can get good information. We suggest such usage. So this is the integration of Buddhist Sutra and LLM of OpenAI. So we have a strong point regarding the sentence. So we are beyond the problem of copyright because this translation is made by me. So I cannot assure the quality. So some people may criticize, oh, this translation is very bad. So Sage is bad. That's all. But if we use the published, translation, then the publisher or translator may sue us. Oh, I will charge you like that. But there is no risk because of my own translation from Pali text. And regarding the authenticity of the correctness of the information, so we can show the source. So it's, and for example, the verse 23 of Stanipat or like that, we can give the information. So no problem about the copyright and accuracy of information. And now we pluralize Buddhist chatbot. We created 3 different level Buddhist chatbot. Buddha's level, Buddhabot learned and Buddha's sutra. So Buddha's level and the saint level, we created Vasubandhu bot. Vasubandhu is a scholar, monk, and bodhisattva who is specialized in Abhidharma and Yogacara philosophy. And we also created Shinran bot. Shinran is the founder of the Japanese Pure Land Buddhist school, Jodo Shinshu, which is the biggest Buddhist school in Japan. So Buddha level and saint level, Arya level, and ordinary person level, practitioner level. And so they gave different answers to one question. For example, how to make more friends. I like more friends. I'd like to create more friends, make more friends. What should I do? The Buddha bot answered, we gain friends by sharing, understanding, and supporting. So you should support, understanding, and share with other people. Then you can make more friends. That's very standard Buddhist answer, I think. And the Shinran bot, to make more friends, you should chant Namo Amida Butsu. That means Namo Amida Buddhaya. Like that, Tsebamela Chaksaro, like that. Then you can create more friends. That's very religious. You should chant mantra, then you can make more friends. And Vasubandhu, you should break through the darkness of ignorance by analyzing the elements of existence to desolate afflictions that create conflicts and build sincere relations. Very philosophical, very complicated, very scientific. Anyway, the 3 different bots gave different types of answers. A standard one, and the religious one, and the philosophical one. And by using such chatbots, we are now conducting scientific research. For example, to investigate the difference in satisfaction and usage between interaction with a single chatbot and the interaction with multiple chatbots. That means only Buddhabot or with Buddhabot and Vasubandhu bot at the same time. As a result, the rate of answers, the interaction was reassuring, and I found concrete solution to my problem. That is a positive reaction were significantly higher for the plural case than for the singular case. So only one Buddha bot rather than one bot, plural bot, using plural bot are more effective. But please note that the current participants of the experiment are only authors, and the number is only 10, so smaller number. So we need to develop this research, make it bigger. And next, augmented reality. So chatbot are very, very convenient. But the chatbots allow for only text dialogue, but not face-to-face meetings. And we still want to talk to Buddha directly, not just chat with text. In order to fulfill this desire, we have started to develop augmented reality. And we introduced our new product, a little bit old product, a Terra Platform AR version 1.0, 2 years ago.
人間関係に悩んでいます。
Generate the avatar in front of us, and we can talk verbally and we can listen.
人との交わりから愛着が生まれる。他に質問。
And we can touch the screen. And we created also Shinran AR and Vasubandhu AR last year. And as I said, using the camera function of smartphone, the Buddha avatar can be summoned in front of you through your smartphone screen. And then you verbally speak to the summoned avatar and ask a question. Then he will give you answers based on Buddhist sutra or text, Buddhist texts. This is a mixture, integration of our traditional wisdom, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality. Buddhist sutra, chatbot, and AR. Advantage, as I said, the Buddha bot we can communicate only on the text screen, but thanks to AR, multimodal communication using the sight and the hearing and haptics has become possible. Yes, and now Buddhist metaverse. We will further develop 1 trillion virtual worlds, so-called the Teraverse, by integrating AI, chatbot, XR, etc. The first verse will be that of Buddhism, so Buddhist verse, like that. The background to create such a Teraverse, there is a social programs. You remember the COVID-19, and there are many, many wars in Ukraine and Palestine, many, many places in the world. So now the suffering is increasing due to the restrictions of physical space. So now the social expectation increased for virtual space. And especially in Japan, the present and future situation in the religious world and the Buddhist world is also difficult. So we can use such technology to religious world in Japan, especially. Now, 40% of Japanese Buddhist temple had an income of less than 3 million yen, so 20,000 USD, which is half income of general average of Japan's household income 5 years ago, and now it's decreasing. And according to statistics, 30% of temples will be closed by 2040 in Japan. That we will no longer be able to make a visit to temple in the future. That's very sad. The solution, we would like to use the technology to break through the limits of physical space. For example, by using IoT or Internet of Temple, we can stabilize the management of temples in real space. And we can also use cyberspace. We can create cyber temples, or we can invite monks in cyberspace, or we can create, and now I'm trying to create a cavity in cyberspace. And not only using cyberspace, but we can use physical space by creating avatar monks, avatar Buddha, Bodhisattvas, and avatar temples by creating AR. So if we cannot have the budget to rebuild, huge amount of budget to rebuild the shrines, buildings, then we can create an avatar temple for compensation. And regarding human resource, we can create monk avatars, and also we can create Buddha avatar or saint avatars. But you know that very now rough level, low quality level, but we already created Buddha avatar, saint avatar, and monk avatars, and also temple avatar. And that's very easy. So as a first step, we already achieved. But now we need to make the quality better and better and better for users. The Buddhist cyberspace Teraverse is a Buddhist version of the metaverse by using AI, XR technology, freeing people from constraints of physical space, like that. And there are many contributions. A fusion of traditional wisdom, artificial intelligence, and metaverse technology will transcend the limitation of physical space, eliminating oppression and the difficulty of living. it is possible to provide new venues and methods of activity for Buddhism and other religions and spiritualities. And new religions, ideas, and cultures, art could be created. But we should be careful. So they should be created in a safe manner. The creation of a traditional wisdom tech, we call wisdom industry, through integration of two truths, absolute truth and conventional truth. But as I said, we should be careful about ethical, legal, and social issues. Avatars potentially going out of control. So it is necessary to avoid misinformation and misdirection. And Buddhist materials developed on the telepath should be handled with caution, as they are the object of Buddhist beliefs. We should respect them. And regarding monks' job, then it will decrease some types of jobs, but in that case, the monks should create new jobs, new works for sentient beings. Anyway, by merging traditional wisdom, artificial intelligence, XR, VR, and the metaverse, we will try to expand the possibilities for people and society towards the realization of a happy and dynamic society. Today, we introduce only technology side, but I'm also creating science, new science, by Japan's Moonshot project. Anyway, be happy. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kumakai's very comprehensive and a very concrete method in applying Buddhist teaching and also AI. Thank you. So please, our two presenters, please come to the stages. We are going to have a question and answer section. However, our time will be shorter, 25 minutes. So please prepare your question. Then we will start our question section. And also, Professor Kumakai will be with us online. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So where is Professor Kumakai online? So now we can, yes, please raise your hand if you have any question to, yeah, please.
First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizer and all the speakers for the insightful presentation. And my name is William. I'm a student of the DILA graduate student. I'm also a fellow scholar of UC Berkeley. And I would like to sincerely invite all of the panelists to further elaborate more about the AI for good, because we are talking about the application of AI, and especially for the spiritual and social perspective. I would like to hear more from this aspect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, AI for good is complicated. One of the examples that I've come up with is if for those that were reading my slide, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, so I love cats. So I want to build an AI that makes a wonderful world for cats. And the AI says, let your cat play in the backyard. And I have metrics that study cat satisfaction. And as a result of letting my cat play in the yard, the metrics go up and to the right. However, I don't have any metrics for small mammals and birds. And the small mammals and bird metrics go really, really down. And so this relates to AI is because the normal way that the engineering mindset looks at these problems is they look at good as an output. However, anytime you decide on a metric and an output metric, you have to divide the world into inside and outside, which is an inherently dualistic way of the world. So something I do with my clients that annoys them to no end is I say, well, perhaps instead of looking good as an output metric, we can look at good as an input metric. As a matter, as I was referring to in my talk, of perceiving and cognizing. I think if you have and I think it is very important to have AI safety and to have these output, but they're much more guide rails. For me, if you want to put your effort into AI and to good, it has to be the humans creating it have the direct lived experience of goodness. In the Middle Ages, I don't know if you guys have seen this, I went to, when we visited Kathmandu, there were these statues of lions in front of a Hindu temple, and they looked nothing like lions. And the reason why this was so is that the people who made them were just going off things they had heard about what lions looked like. And of course, this means that what you build is going to be quite inaccurate. So this is why I think it's so important that the people building this stuff have a vocabulary, a concept library, and perhaps most importantly, the direct lived experience of care or compassion. Therefore, you're not just trying to have the output of the machine come goodness, thumbs up, because that's way too complicated in an interdependent world. Rather, if you just know that in a world of samsara you will never cure anything, or you will never, there's no engineering cleverness that solves samsara, then the importance of it being an input, and then thinking about for each decision you make, there's going to be some karmic consequences, and it's good to pre-think through those. So for example, and I think this creates complex systems that have a robust emergent quality of care. So going back to my original thing, maybe you think, oh, my cat lives in an ecosystem, and at the same time I want to care for the cat, I also have to consider the ecosystem. I'm going to put a bell on the cat. It's not perfect, but it's better.
Thank you.
I won't add anything to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we hear from our online friends?
Yes.
But maybe he wanted to reply to that.
Oh, reply. Okay, please.
Yeah, Professor Kumagai, would you like to respond to the question about how to increase or how to respond the AI application from a social, environmental perspective? Not just, the question is want more information about how to review the application of AI from social perspective.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And first of all, I must apologize that I could not come to Taipei because I'm also about the Japanese Buddhist temple, and today I have a ritual in Japan. So anyway, this is for the moment the limitation of the, how can we say, technology. So our technology is not enough to, how can I say, satisfy the both participants in my temple this morning, and Japanese, Japanese Buddhist believers and the participants in Taipei. So we should know the limitation of technology. This is the most important, issue for social implementation. The application to apply the technology and AI for society. So what is a good point, and what is, how can I say, what is a good point and what is a bad point, and also what is a good point and what is insufficient point, to what we can do by technology. Like that, we need to understand, anyway, the limitation of technology. Then we can communicate with society how to apply it safely and goodly and, I can say, accurately. Is it the answer?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's the wisdom of Buddhism. We know the limitation, and also we develop the possibility to the most extent.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
as a upaya level, only method level, we can use the technology, but it's not absolute existence. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So next question. Yeah.
Okay, online question first.
there is a question goes to the Reverend. This is asking that there is a theory in Chan Buddhism saying that a non-sentient being would preaching Dharma. Okay, so if that's the case, then what will be your perspective on as an AI, a non-sentient being to preach Dharma in the Chan perspective? Thank you.
Yes. That is, I think, a central question, part of my invitation to listen or to engage with the teaching of the bot as we would engage with the teaching of the light and the teaching of the sound and the teaching of the sensation, anything arising. How we open to that is our own practice of becoming completely receptive to what is. There's many great scholars here who have published widely on the Dharma teaching of the insentient, so maybe I should defer to them. But it's a wonderful koan for our practice. Can we open, how do we open to the teaching of the insentient? And I feel that that shifts the frame from looking for sentience, as though if we found the sentience, then there would be some trustworthiness, or then we would be more willing to engage. The Chan teaching is that we don't need it to be sentient in order to open completely to it.
Thank you. Thank you. So it depends on our attention and our openness, perception to however come into our sentience. Thank you. It's a very good question. So next question. Yes, please.
Hi, yes. My name is Venus from the Rangjung Yeshe Institute. And this is a question for Bill. I was wondering, for the psi loop applied to humans, if it can be applied to AI. And so meaning like the stress for a LLM would be the question input, and then it would go to the care module. Can that be programmed in and before it reaches its data searching?
Yes.
How far have you taken that idea in terms of programming?
So the question is, does the stress care loop apply to AI? And I think for the reasons we heard of it lacking embodiment and agency, that at this point the answer is absolutely not, from my point of view. However, this again reinforces the importance of humans in the loop. If we say that humans in this system are the only ones that are capable of introducing notions of care into the system, then we don't take that, in my mind, massive responsibility. Now, in the future, might it? Perhaps. But again, right now, is the best it can do is it expresses itself of did it do its task correctly with some sort of a utility or loss function, or confusion matrix is another way to put it. And that's a very two-dimensional way of looking, whereas I think this notion of care. Now, having said that, the intention is that the care loop also applies to homeostasis, that it would also apply to things at the cellular level or even lower. So I think the bar is not full embodied sentience. I do think that if there's some notion of a lower sentience homeostasis, that might also work. Mike Levin, one of our people, really he was loath to not call himself a panpsychism, but there is, right now you and I are millions of tiny intelligences in a person suit, and we just call the outside of that human. So I think that the future may have some aspect of a different sort of intelligence having that way, but I agree with the other speakers that it's unlikely that LLMs, given that they're linear and extrapolatory based on what humans have already done, would get to that point, if that's an answer.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, please.
我想请问法师，就是
Okay, I'd like to ask a abbot for the Chan teaching, and there are a lot of interesting teachings, and as like the sixth ancestors. There was a poem as a Bodhi tree. There is no. So what is the mean? Sorry. There is no Buddha. Where is it? So. So the poem was there was no tree in Bodhi. So where is the dust? So the teaching or the poem ushers in the sudden enlightenment.
And the gradual, the instant path of enlightenment and the gradual progressive path to enlightenment. So what's the difference? 你想问的是盾跟剑的不同嘛，对不对？ Yes.
So what you're seeking is the sudden enlightenment and the gradual enlightenment. What the differences between the two?
And also, which one is superior to the other one?
AI 能不能区分那个
So can AI distinguish the difference between the gradual and instant enlightenment? Can it tell the difference between the two?
Can AI differentiate this difference, these two differences?
Can differentiate anything. And maybe we don't need to. We could learn from it in that regard. So I'm not sure how the question of AI fits in. I feel that if AI is useful, it's a tool for the gradual practice based on immediate original enlightenment, that's the teaching of my school, is gradual practice following original enlightenment. So the sudden enlightenment followed by gradual practice.
那个剑跟盾呢是相互关系的，就是能够一定是依着渐修。
So basically, sudden enlightenment is also associated with a gradual practice. So these two are interdependent.
The reason why no, I think, is very interesting. So from a machine's perspective, in order to address that question, the first thing to say is what is enlightenment and how might I measure it? So I don't think there's any agreement on that amongst humans. Therefore, there's no source of information that it could take in. So I think areas like this is what I was speaking about for things that are very important, but very difficult to count enlightenment. As a Star Wars fan, it would be nice if there was sort of a midi-chlorians count kind of thing. So this is an example of where it doesn't, it's very difficult to assess the thing that you're trying to measure. And then your second question, as I heard it, is of which path is superior. On my watch, I have an app that will do a coin flip. Gradual.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Another question from an online participant to Bill Duran, Professor. In your talk, you mentioned the influence of the first wave of Buddhism on the corporate sector is practice mindfulness, which includes benefits such as self-awareness, self-regulation, intentionality, and purpose. The question is, how can the practice of mindfulness help individuals provide purpose and meaning to life? Thank you.
So I'll keep it brief. I feel like I've been speaking a lot, but one of the ways I like to think of this is that humans have a tendency to be on autopilot around one thing or another. And in particular, the goals that we set ourselves many times are the goals that society or the given incentive in systems want us to do. And then a lot of people, we find out, oh, the promotion, the car, the money, well, obviously material and food safety is and shelter is very important. We find out that we're on some sort of autopilot about what we're striving for. So self-awareness might lead us to say, did this actually make me happy? And if so, how am I defining happy? And then self-regulation would be, well, maybe I can get off this autopilot. I think also when we get time and space, it gives us the mental freedom to consider what is a life well lived, what is happiness, and you can sort of upgrade your intentions and upgrade your values and upgrade your intentions. I think Seligman from Positive Society has a good thing. There's the pleasant life, the purposeful life, and the meaningful life. And I think that mindfulness, even if it's the secular kind, is quite good at inviting people to upgrade those things.
Great. Thank you.
My question is to Bill and all the other speakers. How would you advise to design the software and product or service to reflect the spiritual guideline and to improve the interaction between user interaction with the system? And second is, how would you using this cognitive model in Buddhism and to design the architecture of software, so make the system more versatile, and especially, talking about the database, or the architecture. Thank you.
So the first part of I loved everything that you said around this. Would you mind taking the first part? I thought it was one of the most beautiful and cogent responses. His first question. Oh, okay. So I'll answer the second question first. So a lot has come up that when we talk about AI, we talk about it very loosely. And so one of the things is that LLMs in particular, we have a tendency to conflate LLMs with AI because right now it's the most sort of performant and interesting and getting a lot. But as people have mentioned, that it is an extrapolation, it is an echo of what humans have said. And therefore, I think it has some inbuilt limitations. Some of the areas I'm actually much more interested in the AIs that are yet to come. And in particular, and I'm assuming that most people here don't want to lecture on database schema at this point, so I'll leave it a little higher level. And actually, I've been out of direct engineering long enough where it would probably be a crappy answer. But I think much more ways of looking at the world as probabilistic are really important. In the Center for the Study of Apparent Selves, and these videos are available online. At our symposium at Tufts, we had a lot of people from integrated information theory who are actually, you gotta love physicists. Physicists think they have something to say about consciousness, of course. And so a lot of what they're saying is looking at these idea of self as described mathematically as Markov blankets, and then looking at surprisal minimization. Whether or not that's true or not, who knows? It's not calculable right now. But I think as a method, I think that has a lot more promise for a fuller version of AI. Yeah. And what was the first question? I think it was related.
Software system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you answer that?
How about Professor Kumagai? It's about how to apply the Buddha's teaching into the software. I think you're, the first question. How to apply.
So regarding the how to create a guideline like that?
No, to apply the Buddhist teachings into the software.
Uh-huh.
How to design.
Yes.
Yeah, how to put it.
How to design?
Yes. I think you already, just maybe.
Yes.
You already done that.
As I explained in my presentation, so first I selected, there are many different types of teachings. So, for example, Theravada and Mahayana and Vajrayana. And first we selected the ancient sutra because they are the basis of all types of Buddhism. So that's why for the moment we selected all type of sutras, and which are also how can I say, which also give a very general how can I say issues idea, not very specific topics like only samadhi or only meditation or like that. So it gives a very general idea. So that's why we first selected ancient sutra, and then the ancient sutra consists of question and answers from disciples and to from Buddhas. So question from disciples and answers from Buddha. So that's why it was very fitting in with the Q&A type, so chatbot style. So based on the structure of ancient sutras, we designed the style of question and answer from Buddha to disciple. So this is our design of how can I say, how to select the teaching and how to respond to users. So we designed like that.
Thank you. I think it's clear for the answer. Any further question?
Yes.
I think, okay, thank you. And the last one, we have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm a professor from Huafan University, which is the very first Buddhism support university in Taiwan. I'm very impressed about Kumar Kai professor's presentation. In your presentation, you use a lot of forecast. Especially, I'm interested in the one you forecast. In 2040, there will be more like equivalent cyber space of temple as well as the physical space. Can I learn what's your modeling? What's the rationale you created or generated to do such forecast? Is that from your research center of your Kyoto University or from the Buddhism field of a Japanese Buddhism field? It's very interesting and a critical forecast for the reality of Buddhism study. So like to hear your sharing. Thank you very much.
Can Professor, you hear the question about your...
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, please.
So thank you very much for your kind interest to the situation, a little bit negative situation in Japan. I think in Taiwan, the situation is different because you are very interested in Buddhism and there are many schools. The number of schools is increasing, I think. So the case, the negative forecasting in 2040 is, for the moment, the case of Japan. So maybe we cannot apply this ideal situation to Taiwan and other other countries. But as I said, in Japan now, on the how can I say, the beliefs in Buddhism is decreasing, according to statistics. And so, and as I said, the around 30% of Buddhist temple will be closed. So that's why in Japan we need to think about the way of compensation against such a negative situation. So that's why we created such technology to compensate the negative situation. But in the future, in Taiwan now, your passion of Buddhism is increasing. But in 2040, it will be fine. But in 2060 and 70, you may have the similar situation. At the time, maybe you could also use this idea. This is, could it be answer to your question?
Okay. Thank you, Professor Kumagai. Thank you for all our presenters for your excellent presentation and very comprehensive and thoughtful. Thank you, and thank you for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to our panelists and our moderator. That was a very interesting session. Now we're going to take another 20-minute coffee break, and we should be back at 5. Let's see. Oh yes, 3:30. And so you're just going to head to the right, and you can grab your beverages over there. Again, with the speakers, you can head over to the room to the left.
茶叙
And we'll see you in 20 minutes.
好，茶叙的时间是20分钟。我们在3点30分的时候啊，回到我们的会场，进行下一段的台湾寺庙 AI 工程的应用啊。谢谢。 位敬爱的贵宾，我们下一阶段的议程即将在5分钟之内开始啊，请尽快回到您的座位。All distinguished guests, our next session will begin within 4 minutes. Please return to your seats. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. If we could just encourage those in the snack hall to make their way inside, we're going to get started.
请大家赶快回到座位上，我们就要开始我们下一个阶段的议程。谢谢。Okay, let's just begin.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, and those who are filing in. Before concluding today's session, we want to take a moment to witness some demonstrations of AI use in some of today's Buddhist communities in Taiwan. We're going to begin by inviting Mr. Yempo Wen, Executive Director of Tzu Chi and one of our conference co-organizers, to the stage to share a few welcoming words. And then he's going to demonstrate AI in Buddhist spaces.
接下来我们要实际来看一看啊 ，AI 怎么样在佛教啊，特别是在台湾佛教界啊的运用。那我们现在就请慈济严博文执行长为我们报告 AI 在慈济的应用，掌声欢迎。 那在这个之前，会请我们的严执行长呢，也作为我们这一次的讲座的一个一起共同举办的一个单位，来为我们讲几句话。请严执行长。
Thank you.
So now CEO Yan is going to give an address on behalf of one of the co-organizer.
Guests and fellow participants, good afternoon. It's a great honor to represent the Tzu Chi Charity Foundation to welcome you all to be here for today's last session this afternoon of the 5th Wooden Fish Forum. This international event explores the intersection of Buddhism, consciousness, and AI. From yesterday until now, we have gathered monastics, scholars, and experts from around the world, along with guests interested in Buddhism, science, and AI, for significant exchanges and collaborative learning in the area of mindfulness practice and modern science, Buddhist ethics, Buddhist metaphysics, and AI. This afternoon, our focus will be on the application of AI in Buddhism, exploring the uses and prospects of artificial intelligence. Tzu Chi is deeply thankful to participate in and support this grand event since it's established by Dharma Master Zhen Yan in 1966. The foundation has embraced the 4 immeasurables of Buddha's kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, and the aspiration of Master Yin Sun to work for Buddha's teachings and all living beings, from Taiwan to the world, from charity to medicine to education and humanistic culture. Tzu Chi has adhered the principle of Buddhas in daily life, Bodhisattva in the real human realm. And thereby, Tzu Chi has extended its humanitarian aid across the borders and religions reaching 136 countries and territories worldwide. With the development of human civilization and industrialization over the past century, the threats of geopolitical conflicts and environmental destruction and the urgency of climate crisis are more prescient than in the past few centuries. The global community must address the challenges and share mission of sustainability. Additionally, the wave of AI has quickly swept the world, bringing rapid benefits to humanity, while potentially creating an insurmountable digital divide, affecting our very existence. Master Zhen Yan believes that religion encompasses the purpose of life, the education of living, and is the fundamental remedy for purifying hearts, creating harmonious societies, and ensuring a world free from disasters. How can the wisdom of the Buddha from 2,500 years ago and the achievement of contemporary Buddhism be more effectively interpreted, disseminated, influenced, and sustained through modern technology?
We hope through today's grand event, we will inspire each other and share brightly together. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude to all the distinguished guests for your presence. Let's work together to bring more compassion and care to the new generation of AI and humanity. Thank you. Now I would like to start my presentation about Tzu Chi's AI implementation. I think that will be more friendly to understand compared to this morning's session. So I'm a lay person, my background is engineering background. I'm used to be a CEO of a semiconductor company in Taiwan. So now AI is everywhere. AI can help us to uncover the universe. Even AI can help us to sharpen the image of black hole, like this one. And this is the man who at the center stage of the world today, the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang. During his speech in GCT this March, in the very beginning, the video shows, I am a visionary. I am a helper. I am a transformer. I am a trainer. I am a healer. And I am a navigator. Lastly, he said, I am AI. So you can tell from this slide, can understand how AI in many functions to help us to improve, but probably creating another adverse outcome. I will share some little in the later on. And this is the company now surging up to the largest company in the world. A few days ago, the NVIDIA. And you can see that out of the top 10 companies, the technology company holds the 7 seats. And excluding the Berkshire, the holding company, and Eli Lilly is a pharmaceutical company. And you can see that the rest 8 companies, the average age is 34 years old. So it's very dynamic, competitive industry. And in this year's World Economic Forum, there is the Global Risk Report. And the theme of the Global Risk Report 2024 is a deteriorating global outlook. And this is the report combined 2023 to 2024. And look at from long-term and short-term severity. From 5 aspects: economic, environmental, geopolitical, societal, and technology. And in the upper left, the corner of upper left, that is a combined short-term and long-term most deteriorating risks. And I group it in 5 categories. To combine the short-term and long-term, the extreme weather event is still occupy the number 1 risk. And mis- and disinformation and critical change to Earth in the second group. Biodiversity and ecosystem and societal polarization is a third group. A neutral resources shortage and cybersecurity are number 4. And there's a new one called the interstate armed conflict, pretty much reflect the current situation in the world. But if you look at the short term and long term separately, for short term, the misinformation and disinformation is the number one risk today. And for the long term, 5 to 10 years, you can see that the green color boxes, all related to climate topics. However, the number 5, misinformation, disinformation, is still in the number 5 place. And number 6, for the long term, adverse outcomes of technology is in the number 6. So the same report from World Economic Forum, it addressed the 3 biggest emerging risks the world is facing is misinformation and disinformation is the most severe short-term risk the world faces. AI is amplifying manipulated and distorted information that could destabilize societies. The WEF's Global Risk Report 2024 reveals interconnected risk flowing from misuse of AI. That is the adverse outcome we need to pay attention to. For example, this is from CAN Business in January 17th. The JP Morgan Chase Bank fights off 45 million hacking attempts each day. Not 45,000, it's 45 billion, 450亿次 hacking attempts each day. The other example is the annual carbon dioxide emission, followed by industrialization in the industry 1.0 to 5.0. 5.0 means that human cyber physical systems. That is something related to AI. And you can see that the more industrialized society, the more CO2 emissions. So here comes Tzu Chi's some example of Tzu Chi's AI implementation. And this is the one example. We use AI to generate the optimum SEO keywords, the search engine optimization. And this is help Tzu Chi's our stories to put on the into the search engine to be more accessible, you know. And I'm sorry, this is in Chinese. And just for your example to see how Tzu Chi implement AI. And this is, we have Tzu Chi Weekly. Can I have audio? The sound. Yeah. Yeah, we can have artificial voice, actually to read the Tzu Chi Weekly for the listeners. And this is one of the example. And I don't have this one. I don't have touch panel here. Just screen. Yeah. Anyway, this is can show you the if you if you are driving, then you can just listen to the Tzu Chi Weekly report. And there is actually the sound from this artificial technology is from Dr. Ray Ho's song.
佛法凝聚善与美，期许美人发扬法性，传法立身，实践佛教精神。第3版慈济要闻，慈济志工全球响应，大拉圭洪水引发救援，尼泊尔提供。
So basically, this is a doctor in a tone of Dr. Ray's tone to as an anchorman to report the Tzu Chi Weekly's news.
And this is we use AI for photo analysis to generate the caption from the photo. And this will be save a lot of time for our volunteers or our staffs when they compile the story from the photos. They can compile. Sometimes we will generate, collect all those stories and to publish for a book. And this is we use AI for facial recognition, only for Tzu Chi volunteers, because we need to teach the AI how to recognize the people showing on the photo. And you see the number. The number is Tzu Chi volunteers ID number. The less number of ID means he or she is a senior. So when we collect the senior Tzu Chi volunteers, their story, we'll look at the number and to trace he or she's the story. And this one is automatic face pixelation for privacy concern. You can see that for those children, we will blur their face. But for Tzu Chi volunteers, there's no pixelation for Tzu Chi volunteers. And this is still under development. It's not mature yet. I think many enterprise companies here in Taiwan, they are also working on this area. And that is for use AI for meeting summary or the interview transcripts. And we are still training this AI to come up with the meeting summary and also the follow-up work for the next item, for the next meeting. And this is a kind of very similar that the Terra, just Professor Kumagai, but we are more simple one. And when the people are seeking a master's wisdom, we can use this. You can either use a voice or text. You can ask a master, and this example is when we see many people in suffering, and how can we help them? And this master's answer coming up from all the master's preachings in the past and generate a paragraph. And this is, and all the reference, we can attach the original, the scripts coming from a master's preaching. And lately, we are trying to work with master's image and also her voice, but it's still under internal discussion because we still value master's preaching. Most of the Tzu Chi disciples and volunteers, they would like to have master's preaching face to face. And lastly, you see the dragon in Western and Eastern is different. In Eastern culture, dragon is a devil, in the monster. But in the West, it's monster. In the East, is a good sign in the fortune. And actually, AI is like a sword. It's double-edged sword. Like a Chinese saying, a very famous Chinese saying, 水能载舟，亦能覆舟. The water that bears the boat is the same that swallows it up. 科技如水，水能救人，亦能杀人. The technology is like water. It can save people, and it's the same that can kill people. And this photo is coming from AI. And what the more important message I want to bring is, what does AI mean for you? I is Chinese word for love. In Chinese, this word is pronounced I. In Tzu Chi, AI is pronounced I. So we have 大爱 technology, like the dress I'm wearing now today, is made from recycled plastic PET bottles. So we call 大爱, great love technology. So AI in Tzu Chi is love. So AI for Tzu Chi is love or extended to great love. So Tzu Chi uses AI for great love business. It's our mission. So the problem is, the question is, can AI for us for the peace through reducing the inequality? One of the SDG goals, SDG 10. The world's biggest issue is war, pandemic, climate change. The Master always teaches us we need to purify our mind, be vegetarian, and exercise environmental protection. Master in recent years often mentioned to us 大哉教育 means grand lesson. So can we transform AI for great love embedded mission? That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Mr. Yambo Wen of Tzu Chi for coming up and giving us that wonderful demonstration, and for his words as co-organizer. Next, we welcome Dr. Deng Wei-ren, professor in the Department of Buddhist Studies at Dharma Drum Institute of Liberal Arts, to introduce the next series of panels.
好，我们欢迎邓伟仁教授为我们主持接下来的报告，谢谢，请掌声欢迎。
我没有 PPT 啊。Quite an intellectual feast for your consciousness. Well, now we are not sure what that is. So at least for your brain here. Here comes the last two demonstrations of different types. The first is a demonstration of AI-based digital tools for the study of Chinese Buddhist texts developed by the faculty and students of Buddhist informatics group from Department of Buddhist Studies of Dharma Drum Institute of Liberal Arts. This demonstration will be presented by my colleague, Professor Wang Yujun, and two PhD students from our department. Professor Wang specializes in natural language processing, computational linguistics, and digital humanities. And the second presenter is Venerable Guang Hui, and the third one is Ms. Huang Shulin. Both are our PhD student, but Huang Shulin already had holds a PhD in sinology. Okay, so let's welcome Professor Wang.
afternoon. It's my honor to be here to introduce our work for Buddhist studies from Dharma Institute of Liberal Arts. The following 3 talks will focus on the AI tools that we developed in recent years. First, I will give a brief introduction to show the overview of all the tools that we developed, and the following 2 talks will focus on on 2 specific texts. So since the upcoming talks will be presented in Mandarin, so for the sake of it consistent, I will speak in Mandarin too. OK， 好，大家好，非常感谢。
Hi everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to do the presentation today. We will introduce AI-based digital tools for Buddhist studies developed by DILA.
好，那八股文理学院我们长期。
So, Durham Institute of Liberal Arts, we've been developing the digital tools for a long time, and we would like to provide tools for Buddhist studies. And so we separate our works into 4 levels. The first level is text resources that we provided using CVETA text so that people can retrieve these text resources easily. And then the second level is text access service, and the third level is research tools. And we hope that people can use this tool to build this Buddhist knowledge graph, and that's the 4th level. So today, I will focus on level 3 research tools. So in terms of the textual researchers, we will do research pipeline first. So we need original text. For example, some of the sutras or literature, scriptures, data. And when we sort it out, we will have a more structural data. And after analyzing, reading by researchers, and then we will have organized content, and then we will integrate that into analysis, and then we will come up with theory and model findings. So from original data, AI can help us increase the efficiency, for example, including word segmentation or OCR. And when the researchers are reading the original data, AI can also help them to extract key information and arrange documents. Because when we are researching on some of the texts, we need to do parallel reading. So if we can use AI, AI can help us with parallel reading as well. So in terms of integrated analysis, AI can also come in to help as well. AI can help us judging and deciding the context and meaning behind, so that we can find a suitable theory and models. So this overview I will give it today. I will show you what we did in different stages. The first stage, what we did was word segmentation. We have already very good quality of Buddhist text due to C-beta. C-beta has already provided high-quality text data and even provided punctuations in many texts. However, we would like the C-beta words to be segmented. So what we did was finding the boundary of the words. And what we did was sequential labeling. For example, S means single B means beginning of the word in a sentence, and E means the ending of the sentence. So we can use this model and to train AI model to understanding the sequence of the sentence. So when AI sees the label of a word, it will determine where it is in one sentence. So you can go on to this website to take a look at the results of our training for AI C-beta labeling and word segmentation. And also, when we do application of word embedding in Buddhist studies, we use C-beta as well. So you can take a look at what we found here. If we change some of the words into vector space, you can see that something very interesting has happened. For example, like you can see the word of 端言. 端言 in the previous text, it was often used to modify objects. But after Wei Qing dynasty, the usage of the term 端言 is changed to modify the appearance of people mostly. So it is a very interesting observation. And other than word segmentation, we can also do NER, named entity recognition, because we have like a lot of Buddhist biographies, and we hope that the AI can help us retrieve the person names, local names, and time expression here, so that it can help us extract important information. And we used BERT, the pre-trained language model, for Buddhist texts to help us to build this NER tool, so that the AI can help us identify the names, times, and location. And because we have a project going on, and in that project we have lots of text and have lots of words without any labels. For example, this one, the text hasn't been viewed by person yet, but we use AI to help us extract the names and also the locations. For example, some of the temple names and the name of some locations in China, and also the time. It actually helps a lot because it saves a lot of time for us when doing research. And also, we can do reference detection, because in the Buddhist text there are a lot of explanations. So you can see like C-beta T31 number 1604. So it actually let us know where the reference are. And we hope that we can put all these references into the AI, and the AI can help us identify where we can find the references. So when we put the Buddhist thesis into this AI model, and the AI model will send the thesis into LLM and give us what we want to have, which is the reference extraction. And also, you can take a look at this one, create links between first and second-hand materials. So C-beta is the first-hand research materials, the largest collections, digital collections of sutras in the Chinese world, and also the Buddhist Digital Laboratory in NTU has the richest Buddhist research materials collected. It mostly collects second-hand research materials. So we can link the first-hand and second-hand materials together by linking C-beta and the Buddhist Digital Library in NTU together, so you can find the references. And other than that, we can use AI to do parallel reading. We already developed DEDU parallel document editor. You can search on DEDU editor if you're interested in it. So you can go online and the AI will help you to parallel document automatic alignment. So using AI, we want to make the alignment automatically so that we don't need to do the alignment manually. And in terms of integrated analysis, AI can also help us with topic classification because like C-beta, it has already identified many categories for Buddhist texts. The modern C-beta database now consolidate them into 19 categories. And we would like to build a smart Buddhist system, like Q&A system, because it is the trend right now. For example, if I ask ChatGPT, is demon's trial true? Well, it sounds quite sensible, actually. Why is that? It's because the ChatGPT extracts the information from what Master Shen Yan said from the book of Doron Trum collection. So we also used retrieval augmented generation. What we did was putting the book into AI model, and we splitting the articles of the complete Doron Trum collection into individual paragraphs, and then it will convert each paragraph into vectors using a language model. And so upon receiving questions, it converts the question into a vector using a language model, finds the vectors in the book, in the paragraphs that are closest to the question vector in the vector space. And also, the final answer will be sent to LLM to generate the final answer. And also, sometimes when we ask questions, the AI will tell us where the references are, so that it will also embed a link of the original text so that people can go back to the original text of Shen Yan Master's words. And so I'll give you my conclusion, we have attempted to develop tools suitable for the needs of Buddhist studies research, and the next two speakers will go into more details. Thank you.
Let's welcome second presenter, Venerable Guanghui, coming to present.
Ladies and gentlemen, venerable masters, hello, good afternoon. As a student, I'd like to present to you my topic today. As we mentioned before, this is DEDU, or implementation of AI, the automatic multilingual text alignment on the DEDU parallel text editing platform. I'd like to share with you about the content of DEDU, about, for example, the functional goal of it is parallel alignment. And with DEDU, we can also perform manual alignment, and also with the AI model for automatic alignment as well. And also would like to introduce the newly added corpus and also the future work of DEDU. Just like the Milanese in Taiwan, it's like spider in English. So that's why, because DEDU in Taiwanese is like a spider in English. So that's why our logo is like a spider. And this is an online text editing platform. After logging in, it enables user to do editing of text, either for translation or comparison of translated texts among different translators, and also send the link of the results to any of the friends in the world. For collaboration, for example, that's also allowable and possible, and this is the result. Among the multilingual texts, we often need to compare different passages of texts for study or for verification, for example. So these are the purposes we often need for the platform. And here at our platform, you can edit the text manually, or you can simply add the text for comparison or for operation, for example. So compare with Word and Excel, it's actually more user-friendly anytime, anywhere. So it's a very convenient editing platform for you to work with text for translation or for comparison. And after comparison, then you can proceed for translation. And for different translators, they can also, or commentators, they can also to work together for linguistic studies or commentary purposes, for example. So, and this is the work, academic research for commentary on the Mahayana Samgraha. So our students or researchers, when it comes to comparison and editing of the text, it is really time consuming and energy consuming for us. So we want to leverage AI to use AI to find the corresponding words. So this is a thesis we found. We worked, as you can see here, and this is our BirdNine model. You can see here, it falls into two parts. One is to achieve semantic similarity computation. The second is with the programming, we can achieve dynamic programming to compute one-on-one comparison of the sentences or multiple texts, or with that, with the LabS, we can pre-train the model to use. It is trained with 109 languages. For example, like the text we just mentioned before, you can see the text entered or fed into the model. It will be converted into the same word dimension space, so you can always goes into the more like a metrical expression. So as long as we have the same dimension, either it is a longer sentence or a shorter sentence, the vector space will be the same. So then it allows us to do computation, and then we use dynamic programming because we have different expressions among different languages. For example, there might be just one sentence in English, but there will be two sentences in Chinese and vice versa. So it requires vector computation, and that's the reason why Jensen Huang is so popular these days, because the chips they produce, manufactured, the GPU actually works better and faster than CPUs. So that's why they're popular. Then we use the Sutra 12 of Durga Agama doctrines in groups of three. In the languages of Chinese, English, and Japanese. With the text of first Paraj precept, and with the files imported, they will parse the sentences and automatically compare the meanings of the different the sentences between languages. And for example, there are 86 languages sentences in English and 19 sentences in Chinese, and they will compute the best alignment between two languages, and then it generates the results of 80 sentences versus 80 sentences. So it will merge several sentences into one because it is the optimal result. And after the manual review, we found it to be optimal. And the third part, as you can see here, we use the text of first precept in Chinese, Japanese, and English. You can see the key here for the 3 languages usually will be compared manually one by one, with one as the anchor, one language as the anchor to compare with the other 2 languages. So after the comparison, you can see there are 5 sentences among the 3 languages to be automatically aligned. As you can see here, that will achieve the optimal corresponding relationship among the 3. Because the system found the 5th sentence after merger, it will achieve a better result of the corresponding relationship. And we found it to be correct. And also, we also complete the 5 types of automatic text alignment. And the result was also correct and verified by manual review. Enables us scholars who are study the text can divert our energy more focusing on the study of the text itself instead of allocating our energy and attention on the tools. In addition to that, in addition to the new features introduced, we also have new corpus added as well. And just like the Thesaurus Literae Boudique from University of Oslo. And the Thesaurus contains a number of texts written originally in Indic Buddhist languages and then translated into Tibetan or Chinese or English. And these medley of information, for example, we obtain the license from the university, and then we copy the text of 43 sutras onto our platform to for the scholars to access for the study purposes, for example. And on the Dedu platform, you can use a tier B. You can see 43 projects with rich content. For example, here you can see the Vajra Shakta Prajna Paramita. You can see this is the results, including Tibetan, Sanskrit, English, and Chinese. So you can see the text, the translated versions of different languages of the text of the sutra, and these are quite aligned already, and we provide these resources on the platform. And after the experimentations, we found that automatic alignment powered by AI is really amazing, of course. But the accuracy, after all, in terms of in academics, we need verification. So we wanted to be added to the Dedu platform to open for access by many more others, and to introduce the AI model for Buddhism onto the platform of Dedu, so that we can better serve the users, and also we want the interface to be more user-friendly. For example, after alignment, we wanted to also allow us to manually adjust more convenient. That's all. Thank you.
Developed, we use
那谢谢。
open source code, so no passport is needed, and password is not passport. So let's welcome our third presenter, Dr. Huang Shuling.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. I'm very honored today that I can present this research study to you. The topic is called Deep Learning for Classifying Chinese Buddhist Texts. This research is done by me and Wang Yuchun and Hong Zhenru. So our aim is to use AI to systematically classify a large number of Buddhist texts. And this actually has been categorized by ancient scholars. The modern C-beta database now consolidates them into 19 categories. This is the most well-known category database. And C-beta, it contains more than 2.3 billion words, and it contains the traditional titles of the categories of the database. So you can see on this chat, it contains a lot of text inside, for example, long discourses or sutra of the seven Buddhas. So C-beta, it has 23 categories. The first 19 categories are traditional thematic categories. The blue and purple colors blocks are these traditional thematic categories. For example, like Agama, Jataka, and Cyclopedia. And the last four, the orange ones, are now additions named after locations and collection titles. For example, like C20, Dunhuang Cave, it's named after the location, etc. So the last four categories, they do not fit into the 19 traditional thematic categories in C-beta. It's more like temporal categories. So our goal is to classify the texts in the last four categories into the first 19 categories based on their themes. And we would like to check whether the traditional 19 categories are have anything vague inside it. Like traditionally, we identified the classification of the category manually, but now we have a lot of more texts. The traditional way of reading and identifying can be a pain in the ass. So we use AI to help manual reading. So especially we use deep learning, machine learning approach to help us sort out the texts. And before what we started, I would like to introduce what is a classifier. So we assume that the original 19 categories are classified correct. And then we put them into training, and we based on the parameters, then the classifier will classify the text into its categories accordingly, but sometimes it will go wrong. So to minimize the errors will be our goal. And because we have this classifier already, so we would like to put the last 4 categories into this classifier to see if the classifier can classify these text into its categories in the first 19 categories. So when we process those texts, we segmented the words into like smaller chunks, like 500 words and more. And during this process, we compared 3 different classifiers by LSTM, BERT, and SVM. So the first one is SVM model. And this is a traditional machine learning approach. The reason we use this SVM approach as a classifier is because before AI era, we used SVM to compare texts. When it classifies texts, it considers the shapes of the word. It doesn't really consider the meaning of that word, the words. And the second classifier is called BiLSTM. It's a tool based on neural networking. And this classifier, it considers the orders of the sentences, the context of it as well, but it cannot analyze the meaning. And now we use BERT the most. BERT is pre-trained by big data, so it can consider the context and the order and the meaning. So when we got 5 words putting inside BERT, it can read the meaning of the text. So after we trained the classifier, what we have found. So the materials that we used were the texts from the first 19 categories. And this is our first finding. Among the 3 methods evaluated, BERT inhabits the highest performance. It gains over 82% of correction. And the second finding is that most of the predictions are correct. So we use these confusion metrics to check that. So you can see the actual categories of the text and the prediction categories of the classifier. The prediction is on the horizontal line. So you can see that mostly the predictions are correct. If it's the text in the agama category, then the prediction also put it in agama. And we realized that C10, C16, C17 gain the best performance, but C6, C7, and C9, the performance of these 3 sections, the 3 categories, were worse. So the fourth finding is that the arrow distribution reveals the most confusing category. The most confused categories were C9 and C15 because some of the texts, they were very similar. Our fifth finding is that certain categories tend to cluster together, for example, like texts in C4 and C7, and also in C17, C18, and C19. Sometimes the classifier would confuse the three categories together because a lot of people mentioned in C18, they were people in C17 as well. And also C5, C7, C6, and C18, they tend to cluster together as well, but we need further research to know the reasons behind. And then let us move on to the second part of our research. So we do a comparison between machine and human level labeling. So we use materials from the last four categories. For example, like the categories of Dunhuang Cave and categories of newly edited section, C20 and C23. So we would like to do a manual, we do a machine labeling to classify them to see whether they should be in which categories in the first 19 categories. And then we ask two groups of experts to do the labeling again. And so our finding is here, the human labeling accuracy versus the machine labeling. Why do birds perform worse? Which was different than the first part of our research, because in the first part, birds gained 82% of accuracy, but when compares with the, human labeling, there is a lot of errors. I think that's because text distribution of the last four categories are actually quite confused, like C18, C19, C17, and C09. In the last four categories, they contain 50% of texts that belongs to C18, C19, C17, and C09. And also some of the texts in the last four categories were written by people in the later time, in the recent time. So in the first 19 categories, there are not so many texts written by modern people, so that's very difficult for the AI to classify, to identify texts related to those texts written by the older scholars. So you can see that the top three selections where human annotations differ from birds' predictions. So according to our classification, what we can do in the future. First of all, we should add modern text to the training data to improve the classifier's accuracy. And secondly, most errors occur in easily confused categories. Optimizing these categories can further improve overall model accuracy. And number three, as Buddhist texts continue to grow, our research validates the effectiveness of AI in classifying Buddhist scriptures. And fourthly, this approach adopted by the CBETA team can facilitate further expansions to accommodate and thank you for CBETA team for their support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Huang Shulin. Now, our second demonstration is called Musical Altar of the Avatamsaka, in Chinese Huayan and Japanese Kegon. And this altar of musical altar of Avatamsaka was created by Venerable Dr. Xiandu, and Venerable Dr. Xiandu received her PhD in philosophy from the University of Delhi, India, and is currently Dean of the Institute of Huayan Buddhism, Chair of the Huayan Lotus Society Foundation in Taipei, and a board member of Taipei Buddhist Association, among other titles. So now I invite everyone to sit tight, sit comfortably, and enjoy a musical and visual feast for the world of Avatamsaka, which is not usually be seen, right? The world of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So welcome, and this demonstration will be presented by her disciple, Venerable Tianxiao. So Tianxiao Fashi.
We will let music speak for itself. Music is more powerful and healing than human language. Good afternoon, Venerable Ifa, Venerable Xiandu, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Huayan Musical Altar results presentation. Our team currently has two main tasks. The first is classical music, lyrics and music composed by Venerable Xiandu, performed by the Longtan Orchestra. The work you just heard at the first beginning belongs to this part. And the second is pop music with AI animation and V. The four songs we are gonna play are the highlights of the day. The mission and philosophy of Huayan Musical Altar. Venerable Xiandu, the current lineage holder of the Huayan tradition, leads a multidisciplinary creative team to take a historic step in the propagation of Huayan, bridging tradition and modernity. Transitioning from traditional temple propagation, we developed diverse and creative communication methods, utilizing AI multimedia creativity to promote the Huayan tradition. Mission statement. Our mission today is to have your brain relax after two days brainstorm. Okay, the first mission is propagating the spirit of Huayan, guided by the philosophy of Venerable Xiandu, deeply understand and disseminate the spirit of Huayan Sutra, and demonstrate the harmonious and infinite vast worldview of the three realms. Second, modern transformation and innovation, transitioning from traditional temple propagation, develop diverse creative communication methods, including AI technology, music composition, animation production, etc., transforming ancient Buddhist wisdom into forms easily accessible to modern people. Third, integration of culture and technology. Using modern media technology, such as AI music generation and animation production, to create culturally and technologically stunning creative works to promote Hawaiian thought. Fourth, diversified exhibition and exchange. Organize various performance activities, such as music album release conferences and results presentation of multimedia, to promote exchanges and cooperation between academia, the arts, and Buddhism, and achieve the goals of culture and technological education. We invite you to hear, see, and enter Hawaiian. We are going to show you 4 MVs today. The background generated by AI, which is combined with Chinese fine brush painting, 工笔画. The techniques originated from Dunhuang murals. Here's today's repertoire. We have 4 songs to share with you. And the last one is the hard-lighted one. You can turn on your mobile flashlight and sway, or clap along with the rhythm. Now, relax. Face your eyes and ears.
舞台上演一幕幕佛故事，横幅跳跃诉说轮回解脱。菩提树下今晚第一，经典悠扬反推入去，舞着轻音如云中起，教育回荡心灵之旅。 传中静坐，随着永远。随缘改成菩萨之路，花颜乐坛源远流长。花颜乐台上，花颜舞台上，花颜舞台上。 台上演一幕幕佛故事，横幅跳跃诉说轮回解脱。菩提树下今晚第一，经典悠扬反推入去，舞着轻音如云中起，教育回荡心灵之旅。 传中静坐，随着永远。随缘改成菩萨之路，花颜乐坛源远流长。花颜乐台上，花颜舞台上，花颜舞台上。
let's give our AI singer a big hand.
The journey of life, we search for truth, a guiding light, a friend so true, so true. Kayana Mitra, sacred bond we share, us on the path of love and care, love and care. Kayana Mitra, a sacred bond we share, guiding us on the path of love and care. Oh, Kayana Mitra, in you I find peace. Through your wisdom, my soul finds release. With every step, you lead me closer to bliss. Oh, Kayana Mitra, a friendship I'll never miss, never miss. In the journey of life, we search for truth, a guiding light, a friend so true, so true. Kayana Mitra, sacred bond we share, guiding us on the path of love and care, love and care. Oh, Kayana Mitra, in you I find peace. Through your wisdom, my soul finds release. With every step, you lead me closer to bliss. Oh, Kayana Mitra, a friendship I'll never miss, never miss. In the journey of life, we search for truth, a guiding light, a friend so true, so true. Kayana Mitra, sacred bond we share, guiding us on the path of love and care, love and care. Oh, Kayana Mitra, in you I find peace. Through your wisdom, my soul finds release. With every step, you lead me closer to bliss. Oh, Kayana Mitra, a friendship I'll never miss, never miss. In the journey of life, we search for truth, a guiding light, a friend so true, so true. Kayana Mitra, sacred bond we share, guiding us on the path of love and care, love and care. The journey of life we in the realm of boundless wisdom, as scripture whispers ancient tales. Mahavaipuya Buddhamatam Sakasutra, unfolding petals in the cosmic symphony. Avatam Saka, Avatam Saka, infinite bloom of enlightenment. Avatam Saka, Avatam Saka, eternal wisdom forever entwined. In the realm of boundless wisdom, as scripture whispers ancient tales. unfolding petals in the cosmic symphony. Avatam Saka, Avatam Saka, infinite bloom of enlightenment. Avatam Saka, Avatam Saka, eternal wisdom forever into one.
Well, you can turn on your mobile flash now.
In a land of ancient beauty, tale of old is told of a young and noble warrior. Sudana Kumara, the fearless and the wise. With every step he took, legends would arise. Armed with a mighty sword, he faced the darkest days, defying all odds with courage and with grace. Sudana Kumara, a symbol of hope and might, fighting for justice, bringing peace to the night. Oh, Sudana Kumara, the legend shrouded in mystery. Oh, Sudana Kumara, the hero of destiny. With honor and valor, he stands tall and strong. Sudana Kumara, forever we'll sing your song. In a land of ancient beauty, a tale of old is told of a young and noble warrior. Sudana Kumara, the fearless and the wise. With every step he took, legends would arise. Armed with a mighty sword, he faced the darkest days, defying all odds with courage and with grace. Sudana Kumara, a symbol of hope and might, fighting for justice, bringing peace to the night. Oh, Sudana Kumara, the legend shrouded in mystery. Oh, Sudana Kumara, the hero of destiny. With honor and valor, he stands tall and strong. Sudana Kumara, forever we'll sing your song.
Okay. This is a Hawaiian pop music concert. Welcome. And in the slide shows the artists and staff who make this digital album. And this album is released by the Taipei Hawaiian Lotus Society. Those 4 music videos are not the final version and will be optimized in the future. It is expected that the 4 versions of 14 songs will be released next year. Our team received recognition from academia, the arts, the Buddhist community, and various other sectors. We anticipate future professional industry academia collaboration to achieve the goals in Hawaiian cultural technology education and cultural creation. If you are interested in our work or in the industry academia program, you can scan the QR code to get the contact information. I'll leave this slide for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
So we can see how talented the master is. She wrote the song and composed the music them herself. So you said you're not the expert in music. So we can see she is a music talent indeed, more like an expert, I would say. So among the AI topics today, we said Venerable Inji is like a Celine Dion here. It's a composer of a cat or anyway.
那个在
在 Broadway 百老汇这边和韦伯的猫剧，我们 so we have talent pools for music production, and welcome to join us at the Taipei Huayan Lotus Society to listen to the music in person, and of course. And would like to invite you to appreciate the music videos. Actually, the singers were AI generated. It's not humans. It was sung by AI voice. Because my voice is just like this. So I'm not AI. Thank you.
Time's up. If you are interested in the classical music you just heard, you can scan the QR code, you can get the whole album online, okay? We have come to the end of this session. Thank you for your listening.
好，那请大家都还是留步哈，有一些重要的事情。那再来就是很感谢我们的合办单位慈济慈善基金会严博文执行长为我们做的报告，以及协办单位法古文理学院佛教学系邓伟仁教授带来的这几位法师们的或者是学者们的报告，谢谢。
Now we've come to a close. We want to thank all of the participants of the Taiwanese Buddhist community that have come up and shared their use of AI with us. And we have a couple things to discuss before everyone leaves.
好，那主要呢，第一个是请大家记得，就是耳机一定要还回去啊，我们每天都一定要归还，然后呢，再把您的证件取回。
So number one is those headphones that we were mentioning this morning. Please return them to the desk, even if you plan to use them again tomorrow. You can pick them up again and exchange your ID as well. So that's very important. So just remember.
那第二个呢，就是你们的名牌一定要好好的保管啊。第二天来的第三天，我们还是一样用这个名牌作为进入的一个很重要的辨识。
Also, keep in mind is, as I mentioned yesterday, please bring your name tags tomorrow. These are your way to get in and get a seat. If you do not bring them, we will have to let everybody else who brought them in first, and then we can let you in afterwards, just to make sure there's enough seats for everybody.
那第三个呢是，请你们注意一下你们随身物品啊。昨天有一位朋友掉了一个袋子啊，现在还在我这里啊。请您如果发现您有掉的话呢，再来找我们前面这边跟我们拿取。
Also, someone yesterday left this bag with a book in it, so please, if that is yours, come see us in the front and we'll give it to you.
好，那最后呢，就是说我们如果有停车的问题还没有写单子，记得到1楼，然后再来就是我们还有一些想要加入 AI 联盟的朋友们，那也可以记得填这个表格，谢谢。
Also, last thing, if you did bring your car and you're driving, please fill out this parking form. And as well, we also have our Global Buddhism and AI partnership form that you can fill out. Both of those you can fill out on the registration desk over there. We welcome you to do that. Thank you so much, everybody.
好，那请记得明天早上一样是8点45分我们就会开放在8点45分大家就进场坐好。还有我们明天还有一个很重要的一个环节，就是我们将要为 AI 来受戒所以明天一定要来见证这个历史的时刻。
One last thing, tomorrow we are going to be, there's going to be a robot or AI robot who's going to be getting their precepts. So we're going to be doing that as a conclusion to our conference. So if you would like to come and see that, please be here.
好，那明天见，谢谢大家。
Robot, not a robot. It's the
AI.